Welcome to Insight Builder channel. Introducing Composio tools, the Agentic LLM's API gateway. This is part 4, video 2. We are going to see how to auto-reply the emails with Composio triggers using Crew AI and other agentic frameworks. We had discussed on how Composio triggers work and an example. Also, we had demonstrated the email auto reply in the earlier video 1. In this video, we will be diving into this part where we will go into the individual details of how to set up the entities, apps, and triggers, etc. inside Composio dashboard. So let's dive in directly into the Composio dashboard. You will be having a dashboard like this. You might have an entity called agent. You might have an entity of your own name. If not, you might have to create the entity also. So it will be empty like this. And if you go into the tools and look at the integration, that will be empty. Connected accounts also will be empty, and the activate triggers also will be empty, right? It is a fresh account. So this is how your Composio dashboard will be. What we are going to do is we are going to start at the very beginning. So we are going to authenticate the entity. We are going to create an entity called Agent21, and we are going to authenticate it to connect with the application, the Gmail application. And then we are going to, let me go back. So then we are going to create triggers for that application, that is Gmail. And then we will get the triggers from there and make it to work with our callbacks. So all of these things we will go step by step. Let's dive in. This is the script that we will be using, the Composio common auth script.py. The script links will be shared with you guys, and the details of the scripts I am not going to dive into. These are all pretty simple scripts that is going to just authenticate the Gmail app with your entity. The concentration will be mainly on how to get the triggers callback work. Okay, so that we will dive into detail. So let me execute this. I am showing this entire process so that you guys can understand that what process has gone through. So I have already installed the necessary libraries and got the virtual environment working. So you can see the .venv here. So these things have been explained in the other videos. So kindly take a look at the part 1 to 3 of this series. I'm going to start the common auth script, and this script is going to ask me the agent name or the entity name. So I'm going to say it's agent21. So this agent21 is same as the mail which will be auto replying. So there should be two mail accounts that I already discussed in the earlier video. So again, it's better that I will show that also because it's better. So the prereqs are shown here. So there are two mail accounts required, and Composio sign-in account is required. And what we are going to do is there will be two mail accounts in my case. So I will be having agent21 and agent22. So there will be two mail accounts in my case, and I will be connecting them using the triggers. So rest of the things you can take a look at the earlier video also, and you can just follow along and see what happens. The code will be shared in the Code AI Fusion repo. The link will be shared in the description below. Let's go back. So here it's asking me for an entity for the connection. So I'm saying agent21, and it is going to create an entity inside dashboard, the Composio dashboard. And now it's asking me which application it wants to connect. So applications are also called as tools inside Composio. Here we are going to continue call them as applications itself. So there are 265 applications that is already available inside Composio, and the script is asking whether it wants to list it. So I'm going to list it. You can see that it is listing all the available applications, and if you scroll up a bit, you will be seeing Gmail, and you can connect with Gmail accordingly. So let me scroll up a bit. I think it should be somewhere here. Google Drive is there, and we have Guru and Google Meet. So it's not sorted as in the alphabetical order, but yeah, so that is Gmail available in this, and you can select Gmail. So there is Gmail beta here, and also if you scroll up a bit, I think it comes at the beginning. Okay, anyway, so that should not be a problem. So I am going to say Gmail. That's all it requires. You have to just give the name of the application, and then the authentication process starts. So this link, you have to copy it, go back, and right now if you refresh the dashboard, you will see that the entity has been created. So just a minute, go to the entity, and yeah, you see the Agent 21 entity has been created, right? So let me authenticate and show it to you. So the authentication process has started. This Gmail account, I had a couple of additional safety features enabled so that the account is not taken over by anybody. So this is the approval that process is happening here, and this entire approval process will complete, and after that you will have the authentication shown to you. Like you'll be seeing the authentication like this. Now when you go back to your dashboard, and if you go into integrations here, you will see that Gmail integration has been enabled right now. So you can open it and you can check the details of the integration also. Now if you go to connected accounts, again the Gmail connected account has been enabled with Agent 21. You see that, right? But if you go into active triggers, it's empty still. So we have not yet initiated any kind of triggers. Next we will look into the triggers part. Right. So for this, what we are going to do is I am going to show you the script first. So the common auth script is done. So the authentication process is done. So the next thing that I am going to do is I am going to look at the trigger part. So in order to set the trigger part properly, you have to follow a very simple rule. So you have to initiate a Composio client with the entity ID that you have created for connecting with the Gmail. This is very important. You need to have the same entity ID. This entity ID has to be same across the entire process. If you change this, then the errors will start occurring. So keep this in mind. Next, we need to get the trigger. So the trigger name that we will be using is Gmail new Gmail message. Okay, how did I know that there is a trigger like this? It's very simple. You have to go back to all tools, and if you scroll down, you will find Gmail. And if you open Gmail, just a minute, Gmail is eluding me a lot today. So let me search. Right, and once you click on Gmail, you will see all these triggers available, correct? And also actions available. So if you go here and just a second, you can go here and change it also. And one of the triggers that is available right now is the new Gmail message. So you can use this enum. So if you come here, you can see this Gmail new Gmail message. This is the same thing that we are using here, but in a small letter. And then you might be wondering, okay, why am I using this get trigger, and why am I showing this trigger schema.json? I'll be executing this code and I'll be showing the entire process to you, what exactly happens. Once you get the trigger, then you need to enable the trigger. So there are two steps. So you have to first get the trigger. So trigger is kind of a schema that you are going to get, and then you have to enable the trigger with the configuration. In case of the configuration, you have to give the user ID, the interval, and the label IDs. So in our case, we are going to look for new Gmails, correct? And that is going to be in the inbox. The user ID for the Gmail is going to be me. That means the connected account for Agent 21. So what is the connected account of Agent 21 right now? That is LLM Agent 21.gmail.com, which I connected just a moment ago. That is how you are going to do, and then you are going to print the response also. The rest of the things, whatever is there here, you can actually use it as it is, and the same process you can use it for other applications also. So that is why I am giving you the entire process of what is happening here, right? And let us now dive into this, and let us execute Composio trigger. Okay, so I'm going to say Composio trigger.py. So this is the script that is going to enable the trigger. And once it executes, the trigger will get enabled, and also you will see a couple of additional information here. So for Agent 21, the trigger got enabled. Trigger ID has been provided to me here. And if you look at this area from here to here, so this is the actual trigger schema. Okay, why am I showing you this schema? The reason is, if you look at this area, so the required part, this entire required part is what you have to give for the trigger to work. So in the next step, where we will see how the trigger is working and how the callback is getting configured, you will have to use these things. Apart from that, you will have to use this configuration when you are providing this config also. So this config that you are providing, you can actually leave it as empty. So there is an example in which this config is not provided and it is left as empty. So the default config gets enabled. However, it's better to understand this, right? What is the interval, what is the label ID, etc. Right? So now if I go back to the dashboard and if I go to the triggers, you will see that there is an active trigger. So you see the steps that is going through one by one and understanding everything, and you see the trigger ID also, 812050, first and last. So if you go here, you will see that 812050. So that is the same ID that you are seeing. Why this ID is required? You can actually disable the trigger using Python again. So if you use the same ID using this line, line number 20, what you see here in line number 22, an entity.disable trigger, but you need to give the trigger ID here. You cannot give the trigger name, it doesn't work. You have to give the trigger ID, then only it will get disabled. So you can come here and you can click on this, that will also disable it. So for everything, every step that you can do on the GUI, you can do that using Python also. Okay, so what you have done, we have now done a couple of things. We have looked into the creation the entities, connecting entities to the app, and then creating the triggers with the entities and the apps, and also we showed the trigger schema, right? Also we showed how the triggers can be disabled using GUI as well as Python. Next is the crucial part, where we are going to listen to the events that is happening in Gmail and then triggering and calling back inside Python. For that, let us go back. That particular script that you are going to use is this one. So the Composio trigger listener. The first script that I am going to show you is a very simple script, which is going to just take the trigger and print the output. That's it. So this is just to show how the actual callback works. In order, we have to anyway start the client as usual. We have to get the open. You don't need the OpenAI client for this particular example, but I have just kept it there. Composio toolset dot create listener. So this actually creates a listener, and this listener is what you are going to give it as a decorator here. So in the decorator, if you see, the trigger name is provided. So in the decorator listener.callback, filters, trigger name, trigger.gmail, new Gmail. So this is how the callback gets connected to the function below. So the function that we are using is a simple callback underscore function. What you need to be aware is this event parameter. So this event parameter actually comes from the application itself. So if you are wondering, okay, where we are going to give this event, you are not going to give the event. The function, the trigger that is getting called from the Gmail application, that itself will have this payload. So that's what I was calling it as a payload. And this event will have the necessary thread ID, the message text, and the sender. Now, once I execute this particular Composio trigger listener, which I'm going to do right now, so I'm going to say Python Composio trigger listener. Once I execute this, this will go into the listening mode, and then I will go into the Gmail, and I'll be going into agent 22, because agent 22 is who is going to send the email. Okay. So agent 22 is going to send an email to agent 21. So you see LLM agent 21 here. Hi, thanks. I will revert with the invoice details. With regards, agent 22. right? And the moment I send this, the agent 21 will receive the message in a couple of seconds. So, and then the listener who is actually right now subscribing to the trigger will actually get the trigger. So just give it a second. So here, if you see, if you go here and we have received the agent 22's mail here. So this is the mail that I sent right now, and here the subscription is happening. And in couple of seconds, the actual email message that was received by agent 21 will be printed here. So you see, as I was explaining, so this is the entire email that was received, right? So, hi, thanks, I will revert with the invoice details. So you see what has happened. We have captured the email message that is received into Gmail account, correct? So that's what I was talking about. And this is how triggers work. Okay, and the moment you understand this, now think about this. This is actually inside a Python function. This is not something much more crazy to think about. It's simple Python function, right? You can actually do this with JavaScript also. There is a JavaScript option available, but I have kept everything in Python. The similar kind of a thing you can execute in JavaScript also. The listener has to go into wait for our mode, and that is how you are able to see this in loop. So after this receiving the mail, the listener is still active. So if further mail comes, this listener will still update the log here. Okay, but here, as you saw, we are just printing the message. We are not doing anything. You can actually do anything else also. You can take this message, write it to a file. You can process it. You can do some parsing. A lot of things can be done. But the best thing that you can do is, attach it to a agent. The agent function is pretty simple. So what we are going to do is, we are going to write an agent function. So this is a very long agent function that I used for Crew AI, but yeah, there is a mail summary writer that I created for Crew AI. But what we are going to see is a very simple agent. The agent function that you are seeing in line number 21 is getting to reply to the mail. So if you have seen the video 1, where you see the mail automatically replied, that is happening because of this tool set. So we are getting the tool set for Gmail, and we are creating a simple OpenAI chat completions response. And in that response, you see, this is the thing. You are a helpful assistant that can parse email content, send email reply for the received email using the tools available to you. This is the line that actually enables the LLM and the agent to send the mail automatically. Okay. And then if you come down here, so I am doing the tool handle tool calls, toolset.handle tool calls. This will take the response received from the OpenAI, which is actually has the tool calls inside that response, and then it will complete the response. Complete the replying of the mail. So this is how the entire process works. Anyway, I have shown this in the first video also, so I am not going to repeat it. Here, this video primarily wanted to show you this entire process. How the simple callback works, how the agentic callbacks works, and how the entire setup is done. So I believe that in this video you have got a very good idea on how you can use the triggers to connect with the applications, get the events from those applications, use it in the triggers, connect it to the callbacks, and then to the agents. It looks complex, but in reality it's pretty simple if you go step by step. I believe that this video was pretty helpful, and you have got full details on how to use Composio, the tools, the triggers, look at the logs. I mean, I will take a moment longer and I will go back. You can see the triggers, integrations, and connected accounts. So once you start connecting more and more accounts, everything will come down here. But the interesting parts is in the logs. So you can look at the action logs that has been done, and you can look at the trigger logs also, all these things. So even the trigger that happened just now when I was explaining to you, everything gets updated here, and it is kept for 1 week if you are in free account, and it's kept for 1 month if you are in some other upgraded account. All these things are possible with Composio. And one of the things that I wanted to repeat, now LLMs, the agents are going to become the front end. right? Even in fact, it's an invisible front end because it's directly connecting to Gmail accounts, and the mails are getting automatically sent. If you are right now not understanding how is the entire process happening underneath, you might still think, okay, how is this even possible? How the mails are getting automatically sent? You might know Python and you might still be thinking that, okay, it's a trigger, we are just going to put a function there. But the key aspect is, bringing in the LLM call into the callback function and then making the LLM to give the reply for that callback function. So that is the key point that I wanted you to keep in your mind in this video. And with that said, I would like to leave this video with 4 words: be curious, be curious. See you guys. Have a great time.